Hey guys, you're watching Daniel and Gian talk shit, and today we are doing a little recap of the first presidential debate. We're also going to talk a little bit about UFC 253 and the results that you saw. It is Tuesday night, September 28th. Is it 28th?
29th.
September 29th, 8:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Daniel, I missed most of the first 10 to 15 minutes, and you texted me saying that Trump
I was watching Murder.
owning Biden. How was he murdering him?
Well, you know, Sleepy Joe is going to be Sleepy Joe, and just to use Trump's words. Honestly, they're just not a match for one another when it comes to speaking. I mean, it's Trump kind of steamrolled him in the first 15 minutes, and it wasn't like that's not why he was owning him per se, but he had all the right points that was appealing to, in my opinion, just not right or left, just common sense stuff. Plus, Joe Biden was saying things like, I am the Democratic Party, and, you know, all these things, which is just like...
That's a little silly. You're
not really the person I want to be the Democratic Party. I mean, I'm not getting into specifics. That's just the tone that I really like.
Right.
It's really the tone that was set in the first, like, 10, 15 minutes. I mean, it ultimately became what we all thought it was going to be, and turned into a shit show where Trump's debating with the moderator, and like it's just like he's not letting anyone do anything, you know, which is part of the reason why he was owning Biden so much in the beginning, because he wouldn't even really let Biden get words in, and when he was getting words in, he wasn't helping his case.
I mean, that sounds exactly like what I watched when I tuned in, but it wasn't like impressive. It was annoying. I don't think anything got done. Like, nothing constructive happened tonight. You know, I mean, it's the same shit Trump's been doing since the first day, and I don't know. It's just kind of a waste of time, to be honest with you, because I don't think anybody's mind got changed tonight. Like, anybody with half a brain knows that Trump is he's fucking rude. He's loud, and you know he never says anything. You know, he just kind of regurgitates generic.
Regurgitates.
Biden? Biden can't even get a fucking sentence out. So let's not even talk about Biden. I don't know what the fuck he's saying either. But Trump just regurgitates the same bullshit he always says. You know, everything's the best. Everything he's done is the best. He's the greatest. It's the best this. It's the best that. It's the best economy the America has ever had at least 7 times when I was watching. You must have tuned out by then. He said, I'm the best, the most employment. He said the best, the most employment. He said fucking socialist. He said far left. He said all of these words repeatedly over and over and over again in the last 30, 45 minutes that I watched. Those were the same. It's the same shit he's been saying this entire time. Did he say anything of substance? No. Did Biden? No. This is a terrible debate. That's what I got from it. To me, if you didn't want to vote for Biden gets you. He did not win your vote, and it the same could be said for Trump. I mean, if you are,
I don't know about that. If I was going off debates, my vote would be cast based on that alone. Doesn't matter about rhetoric or not. It really doesn't, because these debates don't matter at all in terms of anything. They're for the people to hear them talk amongst each other, to have a cordial conversation, a debate, quote unquote. I mean, name me the last time we had a presidential debate. Because I can tell you, Gore versus Bush was the last one that I actually remember being actual presidential. Because there wasn't any politics. It was just whatever they were talking about. I mean, it was politics, but it wasn't. There wasn't a moment where George Bush called Al Gore stupid like tonight, where Trump literally is like, "Don't you ever say smart around me or something, like you're never smart, or you're something like that," which is just, I don't know. It's great entertainment.
I don't think Obama and Mormon homeboy were insulting each other.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and I don't think
McCain and Obama.
I don't think Obama and McCain were insulting each other either. This is a new precedent. Well, it's not a new precedent because it was what we saw in 2016. You know, just a lot of yelling and interrupting. You know, I found it interesting that this debate, which was moderated by a Fox News guy, the Fox News moderator was getting pissed off. The Fox News moderator called out Trump, and then Trump was like, "Well, he's doing it too." But the moderator specifically said,
I don't know why that surprises you. To me sounds like you haven't been following Fox News very much.
I don't follow it at all.
Well, I know. Well, Fox News is not like without criticism of Trump. I mean, it's supposed to be a presidential debate. He said before this even he did not want to be the news story of this whole debate like other previous moderators have been with Trump, because Trump does this. He steamrolls, takes over, doesn't let he makes sure he gets his word in. But see, that's why I enjoyed those first 15 minutes. I wanted a sparring match. I'm sorry, Joe Biden cannot spar with words. Hillary Clinton could. Better than fucking Biden. Bernie would have been able to.
This is kind of proven to me that, like, what we've all known for since anyone's ever heard you talk is you're a terrible shit talker. And that was terrible. Not letting somebody speak is not good shit talk.
It has nothing to do with shit talk. I'm not expecting The Rock
it's annoying.
It's not The Rock versus... Well, you didn't watch the first 15 minutes. You got to watch the first 15 minutes and then come back and tell me that there wasn't some clear dominance going on. I'm sorry. Even my mom was in here watching it with me, and she's like, yeah, you're right. And then she went back, walked out, left after whatever it was. Because I just said Biden just does not look strong. It's not about shit talking about nothing. It's about how you look to the people. And I'm sorry, you don't look like anything in front of the people. That's just the way. If that's the beast you have in front of you, you don't play by your own rules. That's how you lose. That's how I look at it. That's literally how you lose. Because there's no stooping.
I guess.
There's no stooping to levels, in my opinion. Because you don't. I mean, Biden tried to have his little Trump moments where it's like, why don't you inject yourself with bleach, to help coronavirus? Like, he tried to have these little jabs, but they're not there. And he just looks. It's just. Why?
Well, they're not there because Trump doesn't give a fuck enough to let anything he says affect him. That's all that means. Like, nothing that Biden said. The only time that Trump got triggered was the whole "don't call yourself smart" or whatever, the one thing you brought up. That's the only time from what I saw, was the only time you could see something got under his skin, and that comment of all to get under your skin was kind of odd. But other than that, it wasn't. It reminds me of The League, where Frank Marino, whenever he does a guest star, he's like the old high school bully that shows up, and he has his old, like, all the high school bully cronies with him, and they show up to the tailgates, and they talk a bunch of shit that makes no sense, and it's not funny, but because they're all together and they're all like, "Ooh, shit, Bern, he got you." I don't know if his name is Frank Marino. It's something Marino. But he's one of these, like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, but this is the president of the United States. It's Trump. Everything he does is entertaining. I'm sorry. And everything he does is just entertaining. Because at the end of the day, he's just a puppet for the whole country. He has no power over anything that's going on. He just influences societies and people's. But it's not about that. I mean, if we want to talk about the specifics here, the things I didn't like about what Trump did tonight was he focused on Hunter's son so much. Biden's son so much. Because if I was Biden, I would. Okay, that has to do with my son. What does that have to do with me? What about your son? What son fought in Iraq for you, Trump? I mean, they stuck on the stupid the tax crap, which we haven't even discussed because that came out after the last time recorded, about how you only paid $760, blah, 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 blah. I mean, to me, it sounds like when I read all of that stuff that the New York Times published, and to me, it sounds like he's a American businessman who knows the tax laws, who knows how to circumvent them and not pay and get a lot of that money refunded. He also seems to have a lot of outstanding loans that will become due in the next few years. So we're going to see what happens. I mean, he's going to pay for that with his podcast, and I'm sure he's going to come out with, or a book or something.
I mean, the tax thing doesn't fuck. I don't give a flying fuck about the tax.
Me either.
Thing.
Never.
I mean,
about any president.
That's one of those things. It's also one of those things where, like, you're on the left, and you're bringing this shit out, and the people that support him, they're not gonna. That's something they have to discover on their own and get upset about on their own.
But what is there even to get upset about? If there is,
when you're, I mean, the fact that somebody's gaming the system while they're still paying
But
you know,
is it
half their
gaming if
salary to
that's
the
those
government.
the? I mean, it's like Trump said.
It absolutely is. It
Trump
absolutely is gaming the system. No, you can't defend that. That's the thing. If you do that, you're a shitty fucking person. You're not a good member of society.
I don't agree.
And a bad member of society is now leading the country.
The law is
you
the
don't
law.
have to agree. You don't have to agree. That doesn't matter. The laws. There's a lot of shit you can get away with and not go to jail. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's good.
The whole auto insurance industry with lawyers and everything exists upon that precedent.
It's and nobody said there's nobody out here defending fucking lawyers that are doing
I am.
these kind of
I am.
lawsuits.
My settlement, I defend that. My last settlement, and that's good lawyer, settled a good situation. But that's what it is.
Okay, I mean everybody
That's
knows you're morally bankrupt already. That's okay. I mean,
Then what's the point of having law then? It's like he said, assuming what he said was true, which I don't even know, I can't verify it, I didn't myself. Assuming that the laws were put into place by like Obama or whatever, which I actually, everything Trump says I don't really believe at first glance. But let's just say someone at some point put that law into place that allowed him to take advantage of those tax loopholes. Okay?
because the law,
So it's
because the
illegal?
laws
So it should be
the laws don't change with time. So you tell me it's the same thing with the gun laws. A law was made in the fucking early 1800s, and it hasn't changed in 200 years for whatever fucking reason, and people figured out another way of taking advantage of it. That doesn't mean anything. It was a law from 200 years ago that for whatever reason hasn't been updated because people weren't paying attention to it because there's way too much shit going on. It doesn't make it okay. Like if this was a law that was made yesterday,
okay? Who defines it as okay? It all depends. It's like Kanye West with his business deals. If you have the know-it-all to know with all to do that and to know the law, and that's something you should use for your advantage, because it's already there.
That's the thing. It's not you using it. It's you paying other people to do it for you.
Okay, so
not everybody has access to that manipulation.
I don't have access to a yacht. Doesn't mean people shouldn't own them.
You don't have access to the kind of lawyers that would allow you to manipulate the fucking tax laws that way either.
So
you'll never be able to do that. And it's the same thing. It's putting rich people on a pedestal for doing shit that you can't do. And they're doing it because they have the funds to get around it. And then you're thinking, and that's okay. That's good. That's okay.
And if I do get that way, if I do get up to that point where I do have to deal with tax things and I can't afford someone, I'm going to be glad that it's there. Because I'm not going to be a hypocrite like all the other people on the left who want to pretend like when they get money that they're not going to care about taxes and stuff. Like they're just going to magically just give away their wealth if they make it to the top. That's why it's all BS on both sides, because people aren't going to... I agree with what you're saying. People who don't have access to it probably won't have access to it by the end of their lifetime. It's probably a fact on both sides, whether you're Democrat or Republican or anywhere in between. Because usually people don't, hit that jackpot, hit that lottery type thing where it's just boom, they're just entered a new strata where they have all that money to afford all that stuff. And even like ball players, people who really do go from nothing to like a lot, they still run into financial trouble because they're not even financially, they don't find the right people to control their money or who might put their money in these different tax havens and all of these things.
That money always runs out. They're out of money 10 years after their career, or if not sooner than that. That's a known.
100%.
There's enough stories out there that if it and a lot of it is them taking care,
supporting their friends, their family,
friends and
all these
families.
other. They become cash registers. 100%. I'm saying that there will be certain people out there who do reach that level and are not going to just want to give that fortune away to the government. That's all I'm saying. And there's certain
I mean,
things
we talked
that,
about
certain things
how
that the
people
government
earn their fortunes.
I mean, it's like bankruptcy laws. Should bankruptcy laws exist?
Depends. There's
On
different.
who?
The bankruptcy law.
The bank should get their money, right?
The bankruptcy law exists for specific situations. I don't know enough of the history about it, but it has more to do with fucking bailing businesses out because something else happened to stop them.
Because businesses are people. They're considered people. But what about me and my student loans?
They're considered people now. Yet that a student loan is the biggest scam this country has ever fucking pulled.
I know.
Allowing Fannie Mae and these other people. I mean, student loans, and it's not even just Fannie Mae. It's the universities giving out the fucking student loans, helping people get the student loans. The universities are in on the fucking scam too. It's a cycle of fucking scams. We know these scams. They exist.
So how do you hold? Okay. Fine, I'll concede on my point instead of arguing it. But my question to you is, how do you combat Trump if he's in the wrong to you, if he's doing everything by the law, by the books, for something like tax evasion, quote unquote, and maybe he's not paying, he's not tax evasion,
that wasn't even what my point was. My point was, if I am your enemy and I tell you shit that's bad about someone else that you like, I'm not going to listen to you because you're my enemy.
Yeah, that's but you understand that.
But if I discover that on my own, I'm probably not going to defend it. I'm telling you right now, people are defending it like you're defending it. Oh, it's against the law because fucking New York Times is telling them, because CNN is saying it, because
I don't have a problem with New York Times.
You're not, dude, this isn't you. You're a different kind of piece of shit altogether. You're the Daniel piece of shit. I'm saying, if you call yourself a Republican, right-winger, even libertarian, and a fucking left-leaning rag comes out with this information and tells you this shit's not going to make you upset because of where the information is coming from. It's not going to change your mind. However, if you discover that on your own, you are more likely to get upset about it because you're like, what the fuck's going on? And that's the problem. We're so fucking biased on one side to the other. It doesn't matter if you show someone a fucking video of him murdering a fucking puppy in the middle, or murdering multiple puppies.
That would probably be the only thing that would get him out of the office, probably, to be honest.
Maybe, and maybe not even that. But what would happen if the New York Times are the ones that expose it? I'm just... Salman can do no wrong. You watch your fucking mouth. What I'm saying is, if the New York Times are the ones that put the video out, immediately his fucking followers aren't going to be like, oh my God, that's atrocious. They're going to say the fucking video's doctored. They're going to say there's no way this happened is real, because the person that gave them the information is someone they don't like.
And 100% on the same token on the other side. No argument.
Absolutely.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
My question to you is, it's two questions. Now I'm going to add the second one, but the first one was, well, what do you do if it's wrong? Because you said an average person who stumbles upon this, they're going to think it's wrong, which goes to my second question. What is wrong with the system? What is wrong with him taking advantage of the system that's in place? Shouldn't you be mad at the system and take the system down?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how's that his fault?
Stop voting for the same fucking people you're always voting for. It's not about it. It's not. There's a moral. Look. There's that guy that goes on fucking Rogan that's always trying to peddle his fucking gold investments, whatever the guy's name is.
Schiff.
All right? Yeah, Michael Schiff. Or Peter Schiff, excuse me. Peter Schiff went on there. And he's the one that started talking about how all these fucking large corporations were opening small fucking businesses so that they could get that loan from the government.
Mm-hmm.
All right? He said he didn't take it. And maybe he did fucking take it, but he said he didn't fucking take it because those little loans to those people is going to do more damage, and it's not going to help at all. All it's going to do is more damage, and it's going to fucking affect the dollar. It's going to affect people's stocks. It's going to affect fucking business in the U.S. altogether. And he didn't take it. He could have, because he had enough people on his payroll where he could have taken the loan, but he didn't need to take the loan, so he didn't take the fucking loan. It wasn't free money. And he straight up, he called out Trump. He called out the Kardashians. He called out the burger places. He called out everybody. He said all these people, they didn't need to do it. They did it because they were allowed to. All this is going to do is make shit even fucking worse. You know, there's people out there. They're like that. Even if you don't agree with the other shit he says, there's people out there like that who are that's a patriot. He fucking cares about the country enough.
Is he though? When he's putting all of his businesses and stuff in Puerto Rico, so he doesn't have to pay anything, and he's just taking advantage of like all of the pretty darn cheap ass labor. I mean, that's pretty American. Well, that is pretty American.
It's not the cheap ass labor. It's him not paying the federal taxes. If he doesn't want to pay federal taxes, then he's giving you a reason why he doesn't want to pay federal taxes. There's a reason.
I mean, it's just like people going to Joe Rogan going to Texas. You brought up Joe Rogan.
He's
like that's a tax loophole right there, that they don't have income tax.
They don't pay state tax.
State tax, whatever. Arizona, I think, doesn't have income tax. I mean, there's some of these states that don't have it. Obviously, they lean one way. I'm just saying that is a loophole, right? That's a legal law.
I mean, but that's part of the. It's not the legal law. It's the
they also don't make as much money either in those states. So let's be realistic here. So like, what
they don't make as much money. They don't have the populations are fucking tiny in these states as well.
Well, not Texas, but I know what you're getting at, though. I know what you're getting at.
I mean, the population of Texas versus fucking, like, how many people are in Texas? How many people are in Los Angeles?
I don't know. You know? I don't know how many Mexicans there are.
In either fucking state. So
I know.
29 million people. There's 29 million people in Texas officially.
Texas is like 4 times the size of California, so they're pretty spread out.
Exactly. And LA has a third of that population in just a 60-mile fucking radius or whatever it's called.
And you pay more for taxes.
TMZ. Did you know the TMZ stands for
30-mile zone, and it starts from Hollywood, and it's the 30-mile radius around it. And if you work outside of that 30-mile zone, you have to get a hotel, you have to get what else? Some other benefits like you're supposed to. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in the 30 mile, there's more people. There's a third of the people in Texas in the 30 miles.
100%.
I'm just saying.
I mean, we can move on to things like healthcare, which I also, again, it's the same stupid rhetoric. And for me, it's just listening to this debate actually made me think about one thing. I feel like, as not me and you, but we as Americans actually agree on a lot of the same things. It's just how you go about things that make it different, and then the politicizing of everything. Excuse me. So what I mean is, there's no one in this country that doesn't want healthcare, right? I think that's pretty right. Safe to say. You want it, I want it, Trump wants it, we all want healthcare. But you have people on the right who say, well, I want to be able to pay for my own healthcare. I don't want to pay for your healthcare, right? And then you have people on the left saying, well,
that's the key.
Well, hold on.
I don't want to pay for your health care.
Hold on. There's a point here. And then you have people on the left saying, well, I don't want to pay for your health care either, maybe necessarily, but that doesn't mean, that you shouldn't have the right to health care, right, if you can't afford it. Okay, so fundamentally what happens? It's not that we don't agree with health care. We agree with paying for it, right? So then I always double down to, well, we seem to manage to survive on paying our military as much as we do every single year and increasing the budget every single year, right? And I'm not saying that cut military costs back or whatever. I'm saying you kind of just make it work, because what I would say to either of those people is, well, first of all, where does your tax money go, period? Because I guarantee you, nobody knows. I don't know. I would assume you don't know. You can say, well, I know like a certain percentage goes here and a certain percentage goes there. But do you really know where any of that tax money goes in the first place? Because this system, the quote-unquote system that we've been arguing about for like the last 10 minutes about taxes and stuff, has been set up and is getting larger and is getting larger and is getting larger and is getting larger. And I'm not saying it needs to get smaller. I'm just saying it's already here. There's kind of nothing we can do about it, I feel like. So I don't know if debating cost is really that important anymore when you're America, to be honest, because you just figure shit out. That's just how the country works. I don't see what it matters. Like, you can't just defund everything.
So I'm gonna use an example here, a comparison. So you guys know that I collect toys, I sell comics, and what a lot of the big toy manufacturers, Hasbro, Mattel, do to make money is they sell exclusives through stores. And what that means is, let's use Target or Walmart. Walmart's more of an international brand. Walmart goes to Hasbro's headquarters. They look at some demos and they're like, hey, we want these figures. We're going to buy 25,000 units. So Hasbro goes, makes 25,000 units of this one specific figure. They give it to Walmart, then Walmart does whatever the fuck they want to do with it. Walmart pays up front for these figures, and they can do whatever they want with it afterwards. Well, because Walmart's distribution is so shitty, and there's a point to this, not everybody's able to get these figures, because sometimes it doesn't even land in your state. Because for whatever reason, it goes to a warehouse in Missouri, and then that warehouse gives it all to like 3 stores in that area. Like, we've seen it happen. Like, it doesn't show up in LA, but then we'll see on Instagram that there's like a whole wall of these figures and they're on clearance 2 weeks after they go out because Walmart's distribution sucks. So I counter with Hasbro. Why don't you guys just sell all these exclusives directly from your site? Because Hasbro last year set up a service called Hasbro Pulse, where you can buy items directly from them, mass market, and they release the occasional exclusive. Well, what do people come back with? Well, what about Target? Well, what about Walmart? Well, what about this? What about that? Well, what about them? I don't give a shit. The problem here is there's a middleman.
Yeah, but see,
the problem with healthcare is there's a middleman. People want someone is going to defend that fucking middleman because that middleman employs people.
I was going to say, yeah. So
but
what do
really,
you think about that then?
But it's not about them getting employed. It's because the guy at the top of these insurance companies is making so much fucking money hand over fist, and they probably have investors as well. And I don't know shit about the stock market, but I'm sure there's people who are invested in health insurance companies. They're making money off of these fucking middlemen because they provide nothing. They do nothing but drive up costs because it's a cycle. It's just like the fucking student loans at colleges. Student loans are exist and tuitions are high because of student loans. Because if it used to cost $5,000 to go to college at USC, well, now that you can get a loan, well, hey, guess what? It's $15,000 because they can get a loan for $15,000 to go here. And that's more the public schools because USC doesn't get as much public funding because it's a private entity. But I'm just using universities in general. Because that middleman exists, it starts driving up the cost. Those companies don't exist in the rest of the fucking world. That's their only purpose is to make money off it. Turning healthcare into a business. It's the same thing with auto insurance. It's a fucking business. It used to be just in case something happens, there was a community fund. This is auto insurance. Everybody pulled their money together in a pot just in case something happened to your car, so that you could pull out of that pot to fix your car. And then someone with a lot of money said, no. I'm going to take this over, and I'm going to take all your fucking money. And then the state legislation came out, and they said, you have to have insurance, because if we pull you over without it, we're going to give you a big fine and maybe even take your car away. I don't know. You counter that.
I mean, it's not about a counter. It's like, okay, fine. There's no argument to that there is, but that's not the point. Okay, let's go with it. Let's go with the thought experiment. Okay, so if this country was established upon the idea of free market everything, because it's not supposed to be a dominated by a monarchy and all these things, right? So clearly that was the intent of the country to start. And it's like you said, all these laws are old and need refurbishment maybe, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so at what point do we start to start shaving things off? I mean, because to me it sounds like you're advocating for conservatism, right? Not republicanism or right wing. Like, it's conservatism, because what you're talking about is free market, and the free market's gone rampant to the point where a whole industry can exist, and their whole existence is predicated on basically making money off of being the middleman, right? That's what you basically just said with the insurance guy. Because what do the insurance people do? They don't really do anything. They collect your money, and then when there's some sort of accident or something, they use that money that they've been collecting for months and months and months and months and months and months and months on end,
years,
from millions of people, and then they finally do a payout or something like that. And then you have the lawyers.
That takes forever.
Then you have the lawyers who maximize that payout by doing X, Y, and Z to make sure that everybody gets their beaks wet. And then at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Insurance companies don't really give a shit, because I'm sure insurance companies have insurance policies. So it's like everyone's insured on everything, right? But at what point then? Are we at that point now? And what do we start to do to cut that, to trim that? Because that sounds like we need to cut markets off of our free market society and maybe no longer be a free market society, because you can't just say the insurance industries can't do this, right? Because how much regulation are you really going to apply to one industry? And because what's the point of an insurance industry at that point if everyone has health care, right? Isn't that Bernie's argument? And that's what Trump likes to say. Well, you want us to kill our you want to kill the health care, and you want to do this, and this, right? Well, if healthcare if health insurance does not exist anymore because everybody is covered by healthcare, so that means you do have to cut something down, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay to lose an industry like that?
Absolutely. It's a predatory industry. That's the whole thing.
But isn't Netflix?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Netflix is
subscription services. Let's take Netflix out. Subscription services. Anything subscription.
Subscription services are an amenity. They're not a need. If change is supposed to happen, people are going to suffer. So who should suffer? That's the question you have to ask yourself. We've said this a couple podcasts ago. I think the American dream is coming to an end, and crazy shit. I have a fear for the worst in the future. I think this country's
I don't believe that at all.
It's headed somewhere.
Because the American dream, quote unquote, who were the first Americans to come here, quote, the English that came here that established this country, not even going with the natives and going that direction, right? Because
they sent some poor people over first to get everything.
And then they all died.
And then the rich people came over.
And then the rich people came over. And you know what happened?
With weapons and more people and slaves.
And you know what happened? They made a career out of themselves off the backs of other people. And what happens when you have other people from other countries coming here with money? They're doing the same damn thing. So the American dream is alive and well. I just think people feel like that poor people were a part of that dream because of the Statue of Liberty. Bring me your poor, you're tired, you're blah, 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 blah. Yes, bring me them so we can employ them at shitty factory jobs or shitty field jobs or shitty whatever jobs. And then people are surprised that the jobs left the country because there's a free market. See, this is the thing that Trump didn't talk about this, but Biden did say, I bailed out the auto industry, blah, 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 which he did, which I didn't agree with, to be honest with you, because it goes back to your whole, insurance argument. It's a similar argument. That's why I'm saying a lot of the things that people disagree with are really the same thing. It's just they're hypocrites about things. You know, it goes back, I'm kind of going off topic here, but it goes back to, abortion. What do people on the right say? Well, we're pro-life. We believe in the life of the fetus and the da 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 da. But the moment that baby's born, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Indeed.
Fuck its healthcare. Fuck its pro-life until it's born, and then no reproductive rights or any of the not reproductive rights. Excuse me. No healthcare for the mothers or anything like that because, well, it only matters when it's a fetus, right?
Right.
That's pretty hypocritical.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure we can come up. We can have 15 different ones for the people on the left too about what they don't believe in. It's the same type of rhetoric, just reversed and made into this way. But it just comes down.
I mean, there's always an argument. Everybody's arguing with each other. Nobody. Agrees, and they're never.
Did you like anything that Trump or Biden had to say? Just to put a button on this, because I know we've been talking about it for half hour now.
I was not. I was just ready for it to end. I was just this is just insane because nobody could get a word in edgewise, and it was just there was two. Somebody fucking posted on Twitter that was hilarious. If I wanted to see two old men argue, I'd go to Dunkin' Donuts at 6 a.m. That's and it's true, and I think most people felt that way about this debate. Nobody's saying that Trump won or Biden won. They're just I think everyone's fucking wow, this is where our country's going, except for the fucking hardcore Trump supporters. I think they're the most loyal base out there, to be honest with you. I don't think Biden has a loyal base.
Trump wouldn't denounce white supremacists on TV. He told the Proud Boys to stand down and hold up or something like that. I forgot what he said, but he mentioned the Proud Boys specifically to hold on. He didn't say that. He didn't denounce them. He just said hold on, hold tight.
And he did the little hand thing. Whatever. I don't even know if they have a hand gesture. I just made that up. But the Proud Boys. That's The best thing about the Proud Boys is that Gavin McInnes, the guy that started the Proud Boys as a joke, is completely distanced himself from the Proud Boys. And
as he probably should.
Denounced the Proud Boys. That says a lot. That says a lot. But I don't know. Let's talk some UFC. Enough politics.
Yeah. Well, 'cause there's more to come. Let me take off my hat because Kobe's not fighting, and I could take the censorship bar off of it. My hair's all fucked up. So the fights pretty much went exactly like we said they were. Specifically, how you said the main event with Costa. So
I didn't call a finish. I did not call a second round TKO by Izzy. I did say Izzy would win, and I said it would go 5 rounds. Did not call a second round TKO.
And I didn't think it was going to go 5 rounds, but I didn't think that it was going to end that way. To be fair, yeah. I didn't. And Gian, I'm surprised they lasted more than the first round. To be honest, the Gian Dominic. But let's start with the main event, and then we'll end with the Gian Blachowicz, BJ Blachowicz.
It was different than Romero because
They actually had a fight?
Well, no, because Costa stayed close enough for Izzy to kill his leg with leg kicks. You know, whereas Romero was so far away, like Izzy could do nothing. You know, so Costa never like got hit. I said that Costa was gonna blitz him and get hit with some counter shots, and then eventually like back off. And he never blitzed. He just kind of stood right in front of him and said, "Please, you skinny guy." Skinny guy, you kick my leg, skinny guy.
Do like Romero, and then like Adesanya was just doing this in the ring, like just. I don't understand. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, because
you white belt.
I feel like you weren't impressed with Israel's win. I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm just assuming. If that's the case, do you still or I don't know, maybe you never felt this way. So
I'm not taking credit.
Do you feel no?
I'm not taking credit away from Izzy.
Do you feel like Izzy is still a hype train? Because he did. No, I'm not. I said I'm putting words in your mouth. You didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying people definitely think that, and he commented on it afterwards. But he did leapfrog the division, in my opinion. Like he did not.
He cleared it out.
No, leapfrog. Like he jumped up pretty quick. He fought for the title pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, he's basically
but he's
following Anderson Silva's path.
He beat everybody.
Anderson Silva did the same thing. You know, he had a title fight within 3 fights because the first 2 guys they put in front of him, he wiped them out. You know, and they're like, all right, well, shit. If he's gonna beat him that bad, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like I'm thinking they're gonna do with Khamzat Chimaev.
Oh yeah, he's fighting. The guy, they don't know who he's fighting yet, but they might.
Well, the guys he put away were also kind of cans as well. He hasn't like fought anybody like he hasn't fought a gatekeeper yet, at the very least, and maybe he'll fight Tyron Woodley. Who knows? But no, what was the question again about Izzy?
I was just asking if he thinks he's a hype train.
No, not at all. I don't think I look. He's precise, and most people blame Romero for that fight, and you know I will put more of the blame on Romero because of the style that Izzy does. Izzy's a counterpuncher. He's not gonna.
I mean, he said I'm not gonna be a punching bag. I'm not. People expect me to just stand there and get punched, and I'm not gonna do that.
And maybe, you know what, and maybe that I talked about Kelvin Gastelum, and maybe it has to do with what Kelvin Gastelum did to his face, you know. So
because they did stand and trade.
Yeah, and you know, Kelvin Gastelum lost that fight, but Izzy definitely looked worse than Gastelum did by the time the bell rang. So, you know, but also Costa didn't do anything that Gastelum did. He didn't blitz him at all. He did not do anything that he normally does in any of his fights. He just
said
stood
something
there.
was wrong afterwards, of course. Yeah, something was wrong. He got his ass whooped.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe it was because, you know, I think, is this his first fight in front of no one? You know, maybe he's one of those guys that feeds off the crowd, and because there was no energy there for him to feed off of.
Yeah,
like,
but those are all excuses.
But it's no excuses. Yeah. I mean, I'm saying he looked like shit, and he got his ass beat. And it's no, I'm not.
He has to.
I don't want to see.
He better.
He has to earn his way. He has to work his way back up the. Yeah, he's got to work his way back up the ladder.
It's not no immediate title rematch. There's
no. I don't want to see that shit at all. Yeah, this shit was one-sided as fuck. Like I don't know the CompuBox numbers. But I don't even know if he landed anything.
He threw like half a punch.
Yeah, I think he landed like 3 or 4 leg kicks. He landed. You know, I think that's about it. So it was a bad fight. Really, and then we can move on to the next one. What I saw was the light heavyweight division is the weakest it's been in years. No disrespect to Gian. I could see Izzy jumping up and clearing out that division right now, just with his style. However, you know, I saw Chris Weidman on Chael Sonnen's YouTube channel today, and Chris Weidman's like, I'll fight him. And I'm kind of on the fence because Chris Weidman, yeah, he's got a couple wins, but I've also seen him get his ass beat, you know, half of his last fights. But Chris Weidman might have the style to eliminate Izzy. You know, he's a wrestler with heavy hands.
Chris Weidman's, in my opinion, no offense, Chris. Keep going, though. He has heavy hands. I'll remember what I'm gonna say. He has heavy hands.
He's a wrestler with heavy hands, and he's the guy that took down Anderson Silva. And Izzy's style is very similar to Anderson Silva.
Do you really think
Where
that it
Anderson's-
counts though? I've never counted that as him beating Anderson Silva, even though he has 2 W's against it. I really because Anderson was playing games, he got caught, and then the second time Anderson broke his leg. I think.
I think it counts because the first
Chael
time they
beat
fought,
him. Other than to get that submission at the very end.
Yeah, I think Weidman was landing shots, and Anderson, for whatever reason, and maybe it was because age was setting in, was not able to pull the trigger. He looked a lot. It looked very similar to the Chael fights. The only difference was Weidman actually knocked him out when he put his chin out. But it was like Anderson couldn't get off. Like, he was getting smothered. Chael was smothering Anderson. Weidman was smothering Anderson, and he couldn't get off. He couldn't build his range to get his shots off. And then, he pulls the stupid move where he puts his head out and just takes the fucking biggest shot.
Like,
yeah, it just dropped. Fucking went out. Yeah, but
which was great. Which was a great moment for people. I remember watching it because Anderson he never lost, right? At that point, or he was won like whatever many in a row.
Oh, we saw the two fights with Chael where Chael was putting it on him, and then he pulled out the fucking. I think he submitted him twice.
He submitted him at literally like the last 30 seconds of the.
Yeah, like he was gonna lose that fight, and then he got that triangle choke. And then the second fight, it wasn't. It was a little closer. It was definitely not a one-sided beating by Chael, but Chael did not look like Chael looked like he belonged in the cage with Anderson. Both fights. So I don't know. I mean, also like you said, Weidman's been washed a few times already.
Like he's a gate. He needs to really earn his way up before he can enter the discussion with Izzy. Unfortunately, even though he was a former champ, it's not like you can't take that away from him. He'll always be a champion, always, right? But it also matters what you're doing now. It's like Tyron. Tyron he was a champion for however long he was the champion, but what has he literally done those last 3 fights except get dominated? I mean, it's kind of sad watching Tyron fight these new people, to be honest with you, because you always wanted him to do more, I feel like, right? Even when he fought Wonder Boy and all these people. You always wanted Tyron to be like, what's his name? Dude who's retiring and is going to come back. And I'm totally Anthony Johnson. You wanted him to be like Rumble, right? You wanted him to go in there and just smoke and starch people because he had some pretty hardcore knockouts, Tyron, right? Like, you can't deny he's knocked people's faces off. But he's not Rumble. And not because of size or whatever, but just because he's just not. And he's proving that now.
Yeah, so just to interject about Weidman, I don't know why the fuck he's flapping his gums, to be honest.
He's lost
with you,
like 5 of his last 6 fights or something. He's lost a lot of fights.
He's lost 5 of his last 7.
See?
He lost 3 in a row. He lost 3 in a row at middleweight and got knocked out all 3 times. No, and then he submitted Gastelum. And then he moved up to 205. No, he didn't move up because he fought Jacare. He got knocked out by Jacare, of all people, who doesn't knock anybody out. Then he moved up to 205 for 1 fight. Dominic Reyes knocked him out. Then he went back down to 185 and beat Omari Akhmedov, who I have no idea who that is. And he won a decision. So it's like, pump the brakes a little bit, Weidman, because you're gonna have to win at least 2 more fights against somebody worthwhile. Like Akhmedov is, I don't even know. I guess he's got 20 wins and 5 losses. But in the UFC, what does he have? I think.
Right.
I mean, I guess he stopped that train because he was on a 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 wins and 1 draw in a row in the UFC before he fought Weidman, and then he lost the decision. And he lost the decision. That's the other part too. Like, if you dominate someone, like you knock them out in the first round, you get a finish of some sort. And I vaguely remember watching that fight, and I feel like it wasn't like super one-sided, or maybe it was. Who knows? I mean, I guess the point more than anything is, Adesanya hasn't fought a wrestler. And I mean, yeah, Romero, you say he's a wrestler, but some of the actually.
What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen with John Jones?
Oh, I'd love to see it. The problem with John Jones is he says he's gonna wrestle and take the easy way out, but then he gets a little arrogant,
And he's like,
And
I'm gonna
he'll try
stand
to
up
trade.
and I'm gonna stand up and fight with you.
Exactly. I mean, he did that. He did that with
Dominic
he did that with
Reyes,
Reyes.
and that's why
Yeah.
that's why he's like, I'm gonna just relinquish the belt, and then John wins. He's like, well, maybe y'all would be mad if I went back and got my belt or whatever he said. And for me, it's like, yeah, I would be. Yeah, I would be mad. I would be mad because, first of all, you're no longer the champion. I know this is disrespectful to say, and I know he would slap the shit out of me if I said this, but he relinquished his belt. And so he wanted to move up, so he should move up. If he wants to fight in the heavyweight division, he needs to earn his way back. I know it's John Jones, but put a fight in there. You shouldn't just get direct title shots, because that's the problem with the rankings that you've complained about. I know for a fact have complained about for years about how it's just all BS. The rankings in the UFC are BS, and I try to defend it. And as time goes on, it's like, no, it's true. People are getting leapfrogged all the time. You have Colby being an interim champ, and then that doesn't mean anything. Wasn't Tony Ferguson won too, and he got pushed over? So you have all these different things that make everything not matter as much.
I mean, there's so much. There's. I'm walking away from the camera, but
I'm listening.
There's so much bullshit out there. There's no rhyme or reason to a lot of this shit. The rankings mean nothing, and Dana has proven that time and time again. They mean so little in the scope of things. If the right name wants to jump up in weight class, he can and will. I mean, I'm a Conor fan, but look how many unearned title shots has Conor had. I think the 145, I guess he'd never had a title shot at 170, but it's giving him some decent names at 170 just for money.
Nate Diaz?
You can make the argument. Yeah,
Is that really giving him the fight, though, when he already had a belt? And it was a catchweight fight, their first one?
Well, it was a 170 because it was last minute.
I know, it was catchweight.
For Nate to send it. Yeah. Well, there's a reason why Conor wants to go there. But the point is,
I like prize fighting. Don't get me wrong. I want to see Conor fight Manny, and even though Manny's gonna knock him out.
Yeah, but what I mean is, if Conor went on a 10-fight win streak at lightweight and told
he'd
Dana,
be 70 years old at that point because of the rate he fights.
But if he tells Dana, hey, I want to fight for the welterweight title, let's make it happen. I want to be like triple champ or whatever. Dana would try to figure it out.
Not according to those leaked texts. Did you see those leaked texts that Conor leaked?
Well, dude, because Conor leaked those texts, and let's talk about that real quick. I think Conor leaked those texts because he's lost his leverage. Because there's no house. Conor can't make the same demands he was making before. If he fights, the pay-per-view is going to do great, but who knows what the actual contract?
Who knows how much percentage he gets from that, because there's no
right.
It might be completely different.
Maybe it might be one of those things where he was making all of his money from the house. He was getting a large chunk of the gate and a piece of the pay-per-view, and now that's not the same. And also, Conor hasn't. Yeah, he fought Cowboy, who's a fucking shot fighter in his own, but.
Who I still like watching too, his last fight not the best, but
I mean
he's also been fighting. He worked his way back up to the top of the division. Let's give Donald his credit. Over the last few years, he worked his way back up to the top to earn the fights that he got. It's not like the UFC was just like, just go fight Tony Ferguson. Just go fight Conor. Just go. He was doing well enough. He kind of rebounded his career before, and then he started losing. I think he's lost 4 in a row now, but. I don't know. Like I said, I'm all about prize fighting too. Like I said, I'll watch Conor fight Pacquiao. that's what's gonna happen next apparently. Just like everyone else who will talk shit, they'll go watch that fight too, even if it's just to watch Conor get knocked out or stopped.
Right. Well, I stopped you. We jumped into Conor, but which seems fucking apropos for just him in general, but. Let's wrap this up and talk about your favorite fighter, Dominic Reyes.
Blachowicz?
The King Slayer.
Who? BJ?
Your boy Dominic Reyes.
Oh,
all right.
the Kingslayer. Oh, he wasn't my boy when John was in the when he's in the octagon. That's for sure. I mean, did you see what happened to his ribs? Like, he had like a MAGA hat like on it. He had a MAGA hat on his ribs. That's how red they were.
Oh, my wife pointed it out. She watched the fight with me, and she's like, "What the fuck happened to his side?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "He got kicked." And she's like, "What? I've never seen that
Me
before. How did that happen?" And I was like, shit happens sometimes. It's just, he hit him in the right spot with that. It was a good kick, too.
And then he broke his nose right after. Or not after, but the next round. I mean, look, I wish that Gian fought John Jones. I really do. I'm not gonna say that's why John left. If John wanted to go back and fight Jan, obviously I'm gonna want to see that, despite what I just said. But I think that I really liked Jan. I really did. I mean, he wants to fight Thiago Santos next, who was the last person who knocked him out, if I remember correctly. And then actually since that knockout, I think John's been on a tear, and I don't think Thiago's fought since John Jones. I might be wrong. I don't follow Thiago that much. But Thiago did
he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what there. I mean, I enjoyed the fight. That one wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be either, to be honest. I feel like you might have been a little surprised too, in terms of like potentially the lack of output by Dominic. I didn't know. I did not know. Real quick, I did not know that Jan was 37 years old.
I mean, all you have to do is look up the number of fights he's had. He's got like 40 something fucking fights.
Well, I just didn't know he was 37.
Insane in that number. Yeah. I mean, that dude's been in the game for a while, so congratulations, he's finally a champion. Good for him. But yeah, that's probably why he's calling out Jones, because he wants a big money fight, because he's probably only got a couple left. You know what I mean? So he wants to make some money before he goes out.
I mean, why not? More power to him. But what did you think of the fight, though? Because we didn't talk about the fight.
I said the same. What I said if Reyes goes out there and takes as many punches as he did from Jones, it's not going to go well for him. And that's pretty much what happened. Like, I think he started off the first round. He won the first round, but he definitely took some shots in the first round. And then the second round, that clean shot landed. Then when that clean shot landed, folded him like a ton of bricks. Like, how much ground and pound did Blachowicz do once he, like, did he land like a shot or two, or was it like
I think he tried to, but it wasn't it was kind of over. I mean, it wasn't a KO.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he didn't crucify him.
It was a normal.
Reyes didn't lock up. He didn't get frozen. He didn't go stiff, but he got knocked down, and then it was kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna turtle up. He turtled up. A few, hammer fists went in there that really didn't do any damage, and they called the fight. And you always know it's a good stoppage when the other fighter doesn't protest.
He didn't say anything.
And he did not say a goddamn word, and he still hasn't said a word. So
he just said, I got to pull the fucking trigger is actually what he said. I think that was his tweet. Next time, I just need to pull the fucking trigger. I think that's literally his words. I mean, it's tough. I mean, who are we to sit here and judge? Not that you did or me either. Like, about him or Paulo or anybody fighting.
I'll judge all the fuck I want to. That's a sport. That's what we do.
True. I guess it's true. But I meant more like, who really knows what's
I'm
on?
not calling. Are we calling him a bum? Are we insulting him? No, we're saying you got your ass.
No, I'm saying pulling the trigger thing. Like, personally, for me, I don't really need to hear an athlete say that. I just feel like they need to, because they feel like they're disappointed people and stuff. So that's where I'm saying, like, who are we to make them feel like we're judging them or something? But they're fighters. Right. They don't want to look bad. I'm just saying, you don't need to say you pulled the trigger. Just fight. Just do it. Just do it next time. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just show us. It's like Anthony Smith had all the hype train behind him, and then he fought John Jones, and honestly hasn't been the same since. Or Gustafsson. He lost his comeback fight, didn't he?
Yeah, Gustafsson went up to heavyweight and lost.
Yeah. So it's like.
Did he get knocked out, or was it a decision?
I don't remember. I just remember him coming back and then losing, and then wasn't good for his career. Wasn't good for his look. But yeah, and that's kind of all that really. I mean, there were some other good fights. I know you texted me about that throughout the card. Some good moments. The only really other controversial thing, I guess, quote unquote, is whatever Israel said afterwards about how his teammates that fighters should get taxed 90% if they lose weight or something like that.
Yeah, now that I know all the circumstances behind it, he said that because 2 of his teammates lost to guys that didn't make weight.
Right. Which I get why you get. I get it. I kind of do get it. I actually kind of almost to the point where it's like if you lose weight, maybe you shouldn't even fight. Realistically, but you're giving 30% of your purse to the other person.
Yeah, the other fighter doesn't get paid. It's just it's one of those things.
So maybe 100% of the purse should just go to the other fighter. You lose everything. You don't get paid shit.
Well, that's what Izzy was saying. Don't take 30, take 90. He said if you take 90%, the people are gonna make weight. I guarantee it.
Pay the coaches. Make enough money to pay the coaches back for their time.
Look for me, I think when it comes to the weight cut thing, and I've never been someone that's had to cut weight, so I can't
speak on it too much.
I can't speak on it too much, but I think it's one of those things like it's one of those things where if it happens one time, they take your 20% or whatever. It's a slap on the wrist. Hey, don't let it happen again because shit happens. But if you're a multiple time offender, yeah. For example, Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern has I don't know how many fucking fights she's come in overweight.
Even Kevin Gastelum.
Maybe it was because Kelvin Gastelum's another one. Kelvin Gastelum has missed weight so many fucking times that Dana said, "Hey, you know what? You're going up to fucking middleweight. Don't even bother with 170 anymore." I think he may have even started at 150, 155. But all I know is he missed weight so many fucking times that Dana told him, "No, that's it. If you're gonna fight in the UFC," and he did to Johnny Hendricks too. Johnny Hendricks missed weight so many times he moved him up a weight class, and now we've never seen Johnny Hendricks again. Kelvin Gastelum still did well at 185 for the most part. So whatever, but and that's the way it should be. But if you're a serial abuser of the weight thing, like
fight at your weight or something, because it's just if you walk around at 250 pounds, don't drop to 160.
Like it's right. It's like the steroid thing in baseball. You get popped the first time, or I think they changed it, but it was at one point it was like you get popped the first time. It was like a 20-day ban or something. If you got
and then
popped
it was 80
again,
games.
You were banned. Yeah, exactly. And it should be something similar to that, like an escalating fine. The first time is 20, goes to 30, goes to 40, and by the end of it, it's like your fucking entire purse is gone, for you not making weight. And then even then, like there should be an out clause a few weeks before. And this is for the health of the fighters. Like if 2 weeks before you got to drop 30 pounds and you're nowhere near
weight limits or weight
exactly
weekly weigh-ins or something. Yeah. Like if you're off these targets, then you can't. That's it.
I mean, I think it's either Ryzen or not Ryzen. What's the other one? One Fight Championship,
the Asian one.
Like they were implementing a system where like you could only cut 10 to 15 pounds of weight. And if you weighed more than that, then they bumped you up to the next weight class. And if it was for health reasons, because they had people actually die from weight cuts. Thank God UFC's never had anybody die from a weight cut. But, ONE FC had people dying from weight cuts. And, they're a little looser with the supplements as well. So maybe that was a factor. But I think that's just one of those things that you have to consider. Maybe implement things where you can't, if you fight at 155, the most you can weigh is 170, 3 weeks out or something. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you have to be in shape year round. Whereas instead of, and that's always been one of my biggest criticisms of John Jones and the guy, or some of these other fighters as well. The guy's fighting at 205, but he walks around at 230 or whatever. He had a huge size advantage over most of the guys that he fought. So it's like it's not good. It's not good. It's not good for your health, and it's just kind of abusing the system. It's just because the MMA is its own sport, but it borrows rules from all these other sports. It's just like these weird. That's a wrestling thing. That's what wrestlers do. Wrestlers cut weight. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like you don't really even see that in boxing. Like when they do the actual weights of boxers, they don't balloon 30 pounds up other than Canelo's fat ass. You know, it's always, you know, 10, maybe 15 pounds. You know, it's an MMA where you got guys that are walking around at 200 pounds. You got your Anthony Rumble Johnsons. Anthony Rumble fucking Johnson fought at 170 for a long time, guys. 170! Rumble Johnson! Think about that. Just think about that for one fucking second. Not right. It's not right at all. That's all I'm saying. Guy went up to light heavyweight and was knocking people out at light heavyweight pretty comfortably. It wasn't an issue. So, you know, it was just a big guy trying to abuse the system, and you know, missed weight too many times. And he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go up 2 weight classes, and it didn't seem to affect him. And now he's gonna come back. He might come back. At
he is supposed to come back at heavyweight. He's supposed to come back at heavyweight to fight John Jones. Apparently, we'll see. We'll see. But overall, I thought it was an all right event. Wasn't what I was expecting, but at the same time, wasn't the worst thing either.
It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst card. It was fine. I was entertained enough with the main fights.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
They weren't bad.
I was expecting more. I will say I was expecting more, but it wasn't the worst.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think you thought that we both thought the light heavyweight fight was going to be a little more explosive than it was. So.
I mean, I was expecting.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, right? Either way, I thought it's a good hour today, or however long we've been chatting for.
I think that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review if you haven't done so already. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Ring the bell if you already are. And if you're listening on SoundCloud or Stitcher, I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do, but to do something, we got to figure out how to get on the Google Play. But we'll see you next time.